intelligence agencies the ability to break through the privacy of smartphone communications. Basically, what they've done is they have figured out how to get into your SIM card. So in short, it's a massive security breach, and that means your phone could be vulnerable to the whims of the world's most powerful spy agencies. In other news, Android malware spies on you even after your phone is shut down. I remember this happened a while ago with computers, but apparently for those of you who have Android devices, there's a particularly devious new Android malware, and it can make calls or even take photos of you, even if you think your phone is shut down. So what it does is it hijacks the shutting down process. It makes it appear as though your Android device is shutting down. You see the animation, the screen goes black, but the phone is actually still on. So in that state, the phone can take pictures, it can send messages. So something pretty scary and that you might want to pay attention to. And also in the news, Lenovo PCs ship with man-in-the-middle adware that breaks HTTPS connections. Okay, so again, security related, Lenovo is selling computers that come pre-installed with adware. And what this adware does is it hijacks encrypted web sessions and may make users vulnerable to a man-in-the-middle attack. So in other words, it gets to see what you're putting into a secure, supposedly secure connection, and can then send it to a third party. It's much more nefarious than the Superfish package. It installs a self-signed root certificate that can intercept encrypted traffic for nearly every website a user visits. And even worse, the private encryption key accompanying the Superfish signed transport layer security certificate appears to be the same for every Lenovo machine. So basically, that's it, guys. A lot of security issues in the news this week, and just curious what you think.
Well, good news stories, Jody. Thanks for reading them. Well done. Good stuff. Let's go to Andrew first. What's your view on them stories, man? I'm looking forward to the Xbox One update in March.
Yeah, well, the Xbox One update's interesting. I've actually been able to do screenshots for a number of months. I just get my cell phone, I stand about a meter back from the screen, and I click photo. No, it's look.
How does it come
out? It comes out a little bit grainy.
Yeah, it does.
Doing screenshots on an Xbox, it really shouldn't be a big update. I'm a bit surprised that it's such an all-encompassing thing that we've read articles about and things like that, in today's world. But look, great that they're doing it, and it's probably going to be fantastic for people who want to do reviews of Xbox games and things like that. The Modern Family episode, that's really interesting as far as doing an episode from a screen. I'll assume it's one of the daughters, talking to the parents or something like that who's out of town or whatever it is. But that'll be really interesting to see how they do that without it being a complete advertisement for Apple, in-corp computers. And what else have we got in there? The Android malware spies, that's an interesting one. You switch your phone off, it goes black, and then it starts doing all sorts of crazy things. Of course, we on the show are fans of Apple, per se, I think a few of us. So I think the Android platform really needs to try and lock down some of these things as far as some of the openness that they give developers. I personally think it's a little bit too open. And, with Lenovo shipping, spyware and malware, that cannot be good for business. So it's, privacy is becoming more and more crucial, in internet terms these days. Things are happening in the background without you even knowing about it. So I think if Android can really up that, they're probably going to even break in further to the market than they already have. And obviously it's a two-horse race at the moment. So let's see if we can get rid of some of those sorts of products and have a bit more stringent testing on the Play Store.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good answer, Andrew. Let's go to Jacob. What about you, mate?
Not bad, but speaking of the Lenovo, I just dropped a link in there about Lenovo just released the tool to fix it.
Yeah, I don't use Windows, mate. I don't care about Windows.
You don't. Hey, you can make a Hackintosh out of it if you want.
I don't use Windows, mate. I use Apple. That's why I don't use Windows anymore, mate. It's not good.
So Lenovo have put something on there and added a whole
Yeah.
bunch of space, and then they put another software over the top of that to get rid of the other software. So, well, look, they're
it's
a
kinda
great
scary,
product, and
isn't
if you like IBM and Windows, it's probably a fantastic. My mum has a Lenovo computer, so hopefully they have put a fix in that will resolve that. Sorry, Jacob.
Okay. I put you the link on in the show notes.
Okay,
So,
stuff. All right, let's go to Robert. What about you, mate? What's your view on them stories?
Well, I definitely, of course, the one that stood out to me was the Xbox.
Yeah,
That's going to definitely help people out a lot, especially for means of, for Instagram purposes. People looking to, for just scoreboards and awesome, maybe Snapchats of moments. Privacy, of course, has been a big thing, and that not only for Lenovo, but just like things like Facebook as well. Things that certain I think everybody's government is just trying to get into people's things more and more these days to either prevent things from happening or just to try to see whether they use it for advertising, like you say, maybe they'll look at your computer and they'll see what sites maybe you're going to a lot, and then Facebook will like give you more ads of that certain device so you can pay more, or you can go out and buy stuff. It's pretty crazy the way that they get into our privacy. And but I'm also, as far as the Xbox, I'm looking forward to them stepping up their game as far as just the flow of the way the Xbox is. I know they have all these bright ideas, but for me personally, I have a lot of issues like snapping in and out of apps or going from my dashboard into my games, and I think that's something that they should address before they start adding new features. They should correct some of the ones that they already have and make them fully functional.
Yeah, definitely. I've had problems as well with that. Well, what about you, Keith? What's your view on them stories?
Well, I should confess first, I used to be on the advisory board of Superfish many years ago. And at that time, it was a company doing image recognition. And the claim that they had was that, if you say you like a particular product, they could find all of the products that were a close match to that product, so you could select from a range of options. And they're Israelis. It's an Israeli company with some math geniuses who figured out, basically computer image recognition and search and matching. It seems as if what's happened is their dream did not map out the way they hoped it would. And so they've resorted to serving adware as a way of making money. So they've kind of deviated from their original vision. And that's pretty sick. It's what happens when you get desperate and you haven't got any other plans left. Their investors bailed on them a couple of years ago. So that I think it's a young founder CEO, very young guy, very smart guy, but clearly lacking in ethics. So that's that one. I thought you might have the Apple building a car story this week, because it's kind of intriguing to think that the company who is the very, very best at industrial design and is the best at software, and if you think about it, cars are just becoming design and software. That's what a car is these days. You would think that Apple would be able to build a pretty awesome car that did things that other cars don't do. And I don't know about you, but I want them to build one. I hope they do build one. So I thought that was an interesting thing this week. All the NSA stuff. I mean, look, it's fairly obvious that I'm of an age where when I was young, we were all Marxists. You young guys don't understand, but in the middle of the Vietnam War, we all hated the government, we all hated capitalism, and we wanted to destroy it and replace it with a utopia that we could build. That's why we were all hippies and took acid and stuff. And when for us of our age, when stories come out that the NSA is spying on you or that Android spies on you, it's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, it's pretty much a given.
So we're not really surprised by it, and luckily we're too old to be doing anything dangerous that the state would want to chase us for. So we're not in the shotgun sites for that. But I think younger people should be concerned. I mean, if ever the government became the bad guys, I feel sorry for the good guys because the government has a lot of weapons now.
Right. That should be maybe in the future, if you guys, I don't know if you guys handle such topics, but maybe a podcast about sort of conspiracy theories or things like that. Of like, I know in the United States there's a property that owns like about 300 million caskets just like stacked up for no reason, and there's fences that are facing inwards to keep people like rather inside of facilities instead of keeping them out of facilities. And there's just a lot of things like that go around.
Wait a minute, people are breaking in to get the caskets?
Yeah.
So there's facilities where like there's kind of people saying that it's like a concentration camp that's like already like set up, and instead of like the barbed wire and fencing facing outwards to keep people out of coming into these facilities, it's faced inwards so that it may be able to keep people inside of it.
You all know the Pink Floyd song, right? It's, "Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone."
That's the one.
It's the one. It's the one. All right, Keith. Anything else you want to say before we go move on to Haley?
Nope, that's good.
All right, Haley. What about you? What's your view on them stories?
Hey, I can't help myself. I'm a writer at the Boston Globe, so I have some stories that were interesting. I saw all yours were great, but weirdly, I don't understand why the newest technology in Boston is drones to go over the town full of ice and snow to find roofs that are about to collapse. That was the big story today, because it's been so bad that we need drones now to find them.
I tell you what, I seen a bloody good drone today on Jacob's FaceTime, mate. His dad got one, and it's unbelievable. So cool. You should see it, Andrew. It's so cool, mate.
They were trying to use those to fly packaging for UPS, I believe, right?
Yeah. And also Amazon too, wasn't it? Amazon?
Right, Amazon.
Right.
It was
Right.
Amazon. Yeah.
Now they're just trying to get rid of snow with drones. I don't think they're trying to figure out what to do with them, I guess.
Well, except that, recently wasn't there legislation that was proposed? Something to do with regulating drones?
Yeah. And then the height that they can fly at, because they are flying all over the place and banging into actual aircraft, I think, right? It's kind of tricky. And the other thing I've been writing about lately is this crazy book club that Mark Zuckerberg has started, a book club, and nobody wants to be part of it. And I wrote a thing that said, Oprah's, Zuckerberg's not the next Oprah. He's a dud. He's got 23 million followers. And when he did his first book, reading with the author, like on this group Facebook thing that is very unsuccessful and a bad way to do a book club, he had 197 people comment only out of 23 million people. You would think you could get somebody to talk about his books. All his books are about politics. So I think he's the next running for office guy.
Right.
He's not
Mark Zuckerberg for president.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Well, if he gave me $100, I'd vote for him.
How many? I want to find out, you guys, with Android versus iOS. How many of you guys have Android and how many iOS? I'm in iOS.
I have iOS. Yep, iOS. Andrew's iOS.
As well.
iOS.
Jacob's both, I think. Steve's iOS.
Apple.
Yeah.
How many? Nobody's got Android.
Android is rubbish.
Just
It's not rubbish. It's a good product. I mean, it's half the market
Jacob
these
has an Android
days.
tablet.
Yeah, it's a Nexus 7.
Next.
I have a Galaxy S4, which is a bit older, but that's what I use just for testing products.
also
And I
got that
probably need to
Samsung
get
phone
a
too.
more recent one.
And that Samsung phone too, Andrew, you have.
Yes, you mean the Samsung Galaxy S4?
Yes, that's it. That's the one.
Did you guys have that Samsung announcement that they have Loop, and that's going to blow Apple's Pay away? I wonder about that.
Oh, no, I don't think they said it was going to blow it away, but I think it's going to do the opposite, but anyway. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's. Anyone else? Steve or Jake? Got any views on them stories?
Go ahead, Jacob. I don't know if they already.
I think we already chatted.
Oh,
unless
did we?
you've got something else to add to that, Jacob.
Oh.
No, nothing right now.
Do you
But
want to mention your dad's drone for Jake? Mention your dad's drone because that's bloody cool, man.
yeah, I sent the video to Andrew.
Oh, send it to Steve so he can play it on the stream after.
It's got cussing in it.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Forget that then. Okay,
I'll
let's.
have a look at that. We can talk about that maybe next week. We'll do
Yeah.
a bit more work on it.
Yeah,
I can add
definitely.
subtitles. How's that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's Steve. Steve, what's your view on them stories, mate?
Mentioning the AT&T. I think originally when Google came out with fiber, they I believe mentioned that they're kind of doing this to try to get other service providers of internet to, raise their internet speeds and stability and everything else, which seems to be working a tad. I mean, it hasn't caught on here in America. I mean, compared to the world, we're actually, I think, like way behind. Well, not way behind, but we're behind enough where we kind of need that. But I think, of course, Google has a little bit of an interior motive. I mean, now people will be able to play YouTube faster, get more ads, and all that. But still, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right. Jody, what about you? Any views on them stories?
Well, I guess my big concern has to do with privacy. And I think it's kind of like a sociological change. It seems like it's a generational kind of thing. And Keith, I was listening to what you were saying, and I agree with you, and I understand, the hippie generation, believe me. But I feel like this younger generation has no concern about privacy. And in fact, they feel that everything that they do should be on the internet. And it's different. It's just a different cultural and societal change than the way we grew up. And it just seems like more and more everything is on the internet and is somewhat pervasive as part of our life. So
I always like to say, Jody, I always say that Zuckerberg doesn't have an ex-wife. That's why he doesn't care about privacy.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
like very young people haven't done shit they want to hide. Okay, so anyway, do you agree, Jody? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because one of the things I noticed, right? I have some friends that are young people, and we'll be in the same room with each other, and they're making comments to each other on Facebook. Honey, I love you so much. I'm so grateful that we're together. And I'm wondering whether it's truly something that's a communication between the two of them, or whether they feel the need that everybody in the world has to see this communication. It's just, my generation, when you said something to one person, you said it to one person. You didn't need the whole world to know it. But more and more, it seems like everybody has to profess their feelings to the whole world. And, this concept of a phone that looks like it's shutting down, but it's not shutting down, to me is somewhat horrifying. But I don't think the younger generation cares. They're like, oh, okay, no big deal.
All right, good stuff, Jody. Good answers. Okay, let's go to Keith Tier. Andrew, welcome, Keith Tier.
Thank you.
What have you been up to the last time we spoke?
Oh, I'm doing a lot of different things. Some of them I can't talk about yet. The reason I was in China a couple of weeks ago, I can't talk about yet. So the stuff I can talk about is Alex Komarov, who lives there in Byron Bay in Australia, and me, we have, with our team, finished the next version of Chat Center. And, when you do startups, and some of you guys are doing startups, so you know this, it takes a long time to figure out what it is about what you've built that your customers love. And with Chat Center, we thought it was a consumer app mainly. And I still think in the long run it might be. But the people who love it the most are, it turns out, are businesses who still have websites and web content, where most of their customers are discovering the business on the web, but the owner of the business is out and about with their smartphone, not waiting for customer communications to come in through a website. And so there's a disconnect. There's content on the web and people on mobile. So what we've done with Chat Center is we're going to turn it into a paid service. That's the first big piece of news. It's been free up until now. It's going to be $2 a month per account. It's going to allow web to mobile chat. So if, let's say, you're a plumber, you can put a little link on your website saying click to chat. Whoever clicks there, they'll be talking to you on your mobile phone and they'll be on your website. Or you can send them an email with a link in the email, click to chat, and they come in the email and you can be on your mobile phone. So it's basically giving a hyperlink to every business or individual that serves the purpose of making that person available to anyone who has the hyperlink for mobile chat.
So it's kind of a really great middle ground between someone, I mean, for me personally as a consumer, when I go to a website and it's kind of an older style website and they ask me fill in this form, click submit, I always go, great, it's going to be 2 days before someone gets back to me. And invariably I'm back on Google looking around. If someone could go to a website and the person running that business is kind of that older mentality, they, anyone could, but just looking at gluing into those sorts of people, you could have a form that says chat to me right now and it sends a message through, bang, and they can be replying straight away. So that's a really, really powerful thing, effectively converting potentially some old school platforms into something new for a couple bucks a month.
And from a privacy point of view, it's great because you don't have to give out your physical address or your phone number or your email address. Yep. It's just a click, but people can now chat with you. And they can't know who you are in the real world. So you can feel pretty safe that you're not opening yourself up to being stalked or anything like that. So it actually works for individuals in social media as well. When they say, okay, somebody hits on you in Instagram and says, can we chat? You say, sure, click on this link. And then you can chat, they can chat with you, but that's it. They can't, if you like, they don't know your phone number, don't know your name, they don't know where you live or anything like that. So it's a nice, if you like, a kind of a level of indirection from your real identity, yet it makes you very accessible if you want to be accessible. So that's basically what we're doing with it. We have a lot of customers already, and we've decided to double down on that use case and really roll it out. The other thing we're doing to supplement that is we're making it possible to implement Chat Center in more ways. So up until now, the only way was a hyperlink. The initiator didn't need to install an app or anything. All they had to do was be able to click on or type in a hyperlink. That remains true. But we're adding to that a click to call button and then an expandable widget that you can put into your web page so that your web page stays in place. And let's say they're looking at a product that they're thinking of buying, you can click to chat there and a little side panel will open up and they're chatting with you right there in the web page. So we're giving an additional range of implementation possibilities for this. If you think about, let's say, a journalist who's working on a story and is looking for people to give them information, they'd be able to say, I'm working on this story, and literally in a printed paper, they could put, bostonglobe.com/Hallie, if you know anything about this. They'll type that in, and now they're chatting with you, and it's all anonymous at this point. It's a really nice way to give people what web pages have had forever. Web pages, you could always link to them, click and go there. People, you could never do that. People were always they're not accessible as easily as a click. So this is, click to chat with businesses and people. And then we're not getting rid of the old domain name, chatcenter.me, but we're making chat.center the primary domain name that we're going to market. Just because it's the name of the company, so chat.center, it's easy to remember. Mm-hmm. That is about it. That's about it. I will tell you that within about 2 months, we will then add domain name support. So you can literally have, right now you've got to have chat.center/Hallie. Mm-hmm. 2 months from now, you'll be able to have bostonglobe.com/Hallie. Everyone in the Boston Globe could have one of these, so you can use it for internal communications as well. But you can also have bostonglobe.com/subscriptions and have 4 or 5 people answering it. bostonglobe.com/latest news, whatever.
So
but in 2 months,
Yeah.
In 2 months, we're all going to be, because our owner is the Red Sox owner, we will be at the baseball at Fenway Park. And so can you actually ask, it's a serious product question. You also there's no definite intimacy. There's a general link. Like I could have one day the plumber, the next day the plumber's sister's answering. How do I work it in my small business?
You're allowed to provision multiple links.
Okay.
And by the time we support domain names, the app will aggregate all of the names that you've bought into a single interface.
Excellent.
So the consumer can be talking to the plumber, and the plumber's girlfriend can also be talking to him using a different link.
Great.
So for people like the Boston Globe, so is there an API available for this where they can get their hands dirty in the back end and build it into their platform? Or
we want to do an API and an SDK, but initially the only integration is the widget, a button, or the URL. And those can be hidden, so there's no requirement to put our brand anywhere. They can be totally hidden, and it'll work. But it's in many ways it's simpler than API. It doesn't even need any coding. It just works if you put the widget, the hyperlink, or the button in place, and you can design your own button with your own image and your own brand name and everything. We're also, by the way, starting a reseller program. In fact, bikebookings.com, which is an Australian guy, is going to be our first reseller. He provides services to bike stores, and he wants to allow people who drop their bikes off for repair to be able to chat with the store about whether their bike is ready and vice versa. And so he's going to be a reseller of this, and there'll be a wholesale price that resellers get that's cheaper than the $2 a month price.
Good stuff, Keith. Jody, any questions?
Yeah, Keith, it sounds like this would be a wonderful application for a dating site. Have you given any thought to building a dating site with this kind of technology built in?
We'd rather a dating site adopted it and became a reseller. People have said to me Airbnb should have this, so you can chat with everyone who's offering a room for rent. Or Craigslist should have this, so you can chat with anyone who's selling something that you might want to buy. So there's lots of there's many different applications of this, because there's so much web content where the person who published that content is on mobile.
Cool.
Good point.
Good stuff. And also, there's an update coming out soon too, Keith. What's in the new update?
The new update is everything I've talked about except for the domain names.
Okay, cool.
And that is already with Apple. It would have been released by now, except there was a bug and we had to fix something. But I'm going to guess by Tuesday or Wednesday next week it'll be released.
So yourself and Alex are keeping very busy by the sounds of it, Keith, which is great to see.
We talk every day around about 3 p.m. Pacific time when he's having his breakfast. He's doing design and managing the engineers, and I'm doing product stuff and the business relationships. There's really just the two of us plus 3 engineers. And it's very iterative, very lean startup-ish, and it's a lot of fun.
And I guess one of the advantages too is, as you said, it's afternoon and breakfast. I find working with America a lot, because of the time zone difference, you can actually get a hell of a lot more done in a day, because while we're working, they're sleeping, then they wake up, we start working. So it's kind of, you wake up and you've got this whole iteration that's happened overnight that you didn't necessarily have to drive. So I find it really efficient working sort of multi-continental like that as well.
You think that's true, but the truth is Americans don't sleep. They're so obsessed with work.
That's actually true.
I like this multi-colonial concept, but yeah, I was going to say, we're all hysterical doing nothing, and you guys do the work. I bet we're never sleeping. It's true.
It's funny, we have Jason. Jason Nunnally does a lot of stuff with us, and it'll be about 3 o'clock our time, which is usually about 10:30, 11 o'clock his time at night, and 3 in the afternoon for us. And we'll be saying, we're just trying to finish this up. And he'll start doing his, getting really tired, guys. We're like, we're just going to finish this up and let us know what you think of this. And it will get to about 5:36. And the guys are like, okay, we're out of here. And it's sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock for him. And this happens constantly, day after day. So it's, as you said, Keith, I don't understand how he does it, but it's apparently it's normal. It's a process over there. There's just a lot of hours and a lot of work gets done. We enjoy public holidays here in Australia.
There's a huge work ethic in America. Like I took my kids to South Africa to see their grandparents for 3 weeks, and it was 1 week of school, then 2 weeks of vacation, then we were back. The teachers made fun of my kids, saying, 3 weeks holiday? No one has 3 weeks holiday. How could you possibly even think about having 3 weeks holidays? It's totally unheard of.
We're practicing to be robots. Everybody knows robots are taking over, and it'll be easy to take over our lives. They're robotic as it is. So,
all right.
The good news is we all have fun with the work we do, so we don't think of it as work.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Steve, any questions for Keith?
No, he's good.
Oh no,
he's good. Jacob.
You got to go, right?
Keith, you got to go, don't you?
I'm going to go as soon as you finish with me, but I'll let.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh yeah, I was switching shots here. No, I just like the concept of where having clickable, linkable people. Of course, you said with the website, most websites you click on a link, it brings you somewhere else. Not so with people, so it's great that you're perhaps implementing it in a more useful way.
Imagine that on Twitch TV, if everyone could be available for instant feedback. You could monetize that pretty well, I think.
And actually, because I've used something like Steam, and Steam, you have to kind of transition the site a little bit to get, if you want to talk to somebody. Occasionally I game on Steam or even some other application, so it's great to be able to reach somebody a little bit quicker. You don't have to do a bunch of menus and all this, which would be nicer.
Yeah.
Brad uses it when he wants to get me on the show. He's learned by now that this is the only way. This is the only way to get
hold of it. Exactly. Yeah. I'd message you on Facebook Messenger, but no reply. Message you on there, and then you wrote back. So yeah, that's the only way to get hold of you. Jacob, any questions?
No, they all been pretty much answered.
You got a message from Jennifer before we forget. What'd you say, mate?
I'll just play it for you.
Yeah, if it comes through.
I love you guys. The one I said, I love you guys. You can play this message for them. I love you guys. I love the Techwebcast crew.
Where's she at? An airplane?
No, that she was driving, so she sent us a air message.
Oh,
fantastic.
Okay.
So she should be back in the next week or two, and we look forward to having her back on. But Keith, It's been fantastic to have you drop in and talk about chatcenter.me. And if anyone wants to go and grab their name, that's still available. And chat.center is the new address, which we'll be running through soon. So I certainly recommend go and grab your /name while it's still available. And we're really looking forward to seeing where that goes in the next couple of months, because we know yourself and Alex from Australia have been working really hard. So the very best of luck for that, and really appreciate you being on the show again, Keith.
Thank you, guys. And you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you, Keith. And Andrew, who do we have next? Haley. It's going to be.
Yes, we have Haley on, and Haley is a writer, reporter, person extraordinaire from the Boston Globe. So it's fantastic to have you on, and it's a bit chilly over there, Haley.
Welcome, Haley.
Oh, golly. Yeah, it's kind of cold in Boston. We've been noticing. And
have you got snow? Have you got snow there?
Just about 2.5 meters. I actually looked up what 100 inches was, so I could tell you. So You guys are on meters, right?
Are we, Andrew?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we run meters.
And in centigrade tonight, the range today in centigrade was -9 to -19. And the unfortunate problem is tomorrow or the next day we're having more snow, and then next week, Wednesday, we might have another 5 or 6 inches.
Move to Australia. Move to Australia.
You've seen the pictures, right? Aren't they silly?
So what's that in Kelvin?
It's on our news. It's funny. It's like 40 degrees or nearly 100 Fahrenheit here in Australia.
I know.
And on our news break, it'd be like, and there was more snow today in America.
Yeah.
And there's just
It's
these
like,
like
are you
huge
kidding?
tractor things, clearing snow off the road. And we're
I
like, huh?
know. I know. And it's sad. The news is always the real problem. Like today, they'll give you this and that and a picture of, someone's drawn a big happy face and the snow that's in front of their house. And you can see them in the top windows of the third floor. That's where they're, the only place you could see them. But those kind of stories happen. But the real story that's happening now is that all of our subway, bus, train, and what we call the MBTA, the transit, is dead in the water. It's not been funded properly.
Wow.
Imagine you have to get somewhere. I don't know if you guys use a subway in your town.
We do.
But okay, so you can't rely on it. And if you have to wait for it, people are waiting an hour or two in these temperatures on a platform with wind that you can't imagine.
Wow.
And these trains are not showing up. I mean, of course, the dirt on it is the train should have been there. Like if you can imagine having a car, right? Here's your car. It was a 1969 car they're still using on these T tracks. And this is a town full of students and universities, as you know, where people really, really rely on it. And many green type people, including me, I sold my car. Like 2 years ago, I was like, I'm not using a car anymore. And this means I can't go anywhere. Nobody's going to work. No one's getting to offices. And it's now definitely, dividing the men from the boys, the girls from the women of who has a digital job and can work at home and keep working.
I mean, you can work at home, can't you?
Absolutely. Really, we are like, we're all nodes in a network of writers sending our stories back and forth. My editor is at home.
You just
she
go
checks
to the
my
window,
stuff.
take a photo of the snow outside, put some text and bang, there's your story of the day.
That's right. I mean, and my husband is an Android iOS programmer. He can work at home. He's probably worked at home. Kate's joking about all these school days the kids are missing. There's so many days the school's been canceled in this month. It's insane for us. We're used to dropping the kids at school and off to work and work. And so my husband's been able to work at home. I'm able to work at home, but a lot of people aren't. And then you go to a restaurant. Have they had a delivery of vegetables and meat and the wine and beer? Who knows? You go to a restaurant, you don't know if it's going to be open.
From a serious perspective, that there's a massive underlying issue here from an economic stance.
It is
for the whole place, not just the top end economic, but people's jobs and livelihood. If you can't get to work doesn't want to pay you, or even if they do have to pay you, if the company can't make any money, that's red money that they're putting out there.
Really a problem. It's exactly.
And if you add up the cost of these cars, these trains, I mean, how much? They're not cheap by all means, but they probably could have bought 4 sets of them for the amount of economic loss that the place has had in the meanwhile.
And the people who in our government, we have a new Republican, aka conservative right-wing governor in our people joke that this is one of the most left-wing, most liberal states, Massachusetts. They call it the People's Republic of Massachusetts as a joke that it's like communist China here. So we always have mostly Democrats here who we had our last our governor was Deval Patrick, African-American, Democrat, very begging to fund the transit system because it's the poor people that take the transit system, not the people with the big fancy SUV cars. And so did they get funding? No. So years they have been not funding it. The new Republican governor comes in, and now he is one of the people who didn't want to fund it, and he has the problem thrown in his lap. It's a nightmare. And it is exactly what you said. The economic issues, we have not had a solid day's work. My husband's probably gone to work 1 or 2 days a week for the last 4 weeks because you just can't get there.
And even if you can, there's no guarantee you can get back. So it's scary to leave the house.
There's so many younger programmers and young guys, young girls who are coders who only use mass transit. They don't own cars. They don't want to own cars because if you live in the city, which is a cooler part of the place to live, it's all you use the subway.
On the upside, if there's a Republican governor, at least they're going to snowplow the road so they can get the tanks through. Surely
they have to get their SUVs through.
Exactly.
Right. So it's been really kind of hysterical, crazy, and somebody just today in the New York Times wrote about the reality that this is, first of all, if you have read about climate change, you know catastrophic weather. Anybody who thought global warming was going to be warm, well, maybe in your town, but in our town, we're getting the other end of it, which is catastrophic, crazy. This amount of snow and incredible inconvenience has happened. We've gotten like something like a year's worth of snow in 3 weeks. So that's the problem.
Question, sorry to interrupt you, but do you
Go ahead.
have you ever looked or read up on things of like chemtrail stories about climate control, or do you have any like thoughts on that?
I didn't hear that. The one thing you said about chemtrail or something, I misunderstood what that was.
It's like it's basically these jets that they have that fly overhead that they release small aluminum particles into the atmosphere, and it's like a government thing that they've been doing to try to control the climate. And they actually had, I forget what country it was by, they had like the US had a base somewhere overseas, and they started to do that to try to get like a worldwide kind of control. And somebody, I forget what country it was by, but they found out that they were doing that, and then they kicked the US like out of that territory that they owned and took the territory back from them.
And when you say climate control, that would mean what in this example? That they are
like they're trying to produce artificial weather, basically.
Interesting. I don't know about that, and I'll have to read it up on it. It sounds
there's
really.
There's a site for it where you can basically read to your full whatever desire you want to, but he speaks. I forget the actual site of it, but if you Google, chemtrails, like chemical trails, is basically what it stands for. And I'm not sure if you've ever paid any attention to them driving over. They kind of look like a jet leaving a long streak. But
gotcha.
Instead of like smoke or whatever you would think that it is, that they're leaving this aluminum, tiny particles that are said to be able to change, at whatever density they do drop them from. It has different effects.
It's really fascinating, and I want to read about it. Thank you.
Right,
I do.
Not a problem.
Good stuff. Good information. Good information. Okay, let's go to Jody or Steve. Any questions?
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was going to mention, you said you work for the Boston Globe, or what's...
yes.
And can you talk about that, or is it...
Sure. Did you want to talk about how I got there, or what we do there?
Yeah, what do you do there? Is it... Sure.
Well, it's ironic I'm there because I started as a blogger more than any other thing in the year like 2002, early on. And I was also an entrepreneur and a CEO of a startup about editorial stuff and about blogs, and kind of an anti-reporter and kind of hated newspapers. And so my husband always jokes, now see where you ended up? And I actually, in the US, when you go to grad school for writing in English, which is what I did, you choose early if you're going to go, for instance, to journalism school and work traditional newspaper, or you can choose, in fact, to get a master's of fine arts, which is what I got, which is like, I'm actually a writer and a novelist. I wrote a novel about startup accelerator programs because I was in the Techstars program. So I come at it from a completely weird place because I've done lots of social media related stuff. And then I had a friend who worked at the Globe, and he called me and he said, you should come over and work for us. They were starting Beta Boston. It's a special part of the Globe that's about technology only. And because I've been an entrepreneur, that's why he asked me to join. And that's how I got there.
Oh, interesting.
Does that answer what you meant? It's like not a typical reporter thing.
No, it's actually more interesting because
so kind of someone who's on new technology who's almost switching to old tech, but trying to bring new tech to old tech.
That's exactly. And here's the weird thing, as you may know, newspaper business is in terrible shape. People are getting fired. They have no money. They have not made a digital jump. So I was sort of on that other side, and then asked to do this it's kind of ironic as hell. It's like if you built jet planes and then you ended up working at like the little kids' gliders that you put together with balsa wood. That's kind of where I am. But it's a prestigious thing. The good part, they pay crap, by the way. They pay not well at all. But because it's one of the brands, it's a very interesting game that if it's a brand, you can go and do other things and you make money doing those other things. And I worked for a while too at Harvard Business School Publishing, where again we always had a joke at Harvard, which is the further away from Harvard Square you are, the more money you can make telling people you work for Harvard. So if you're in Japan, you're like the hottest thing ever. If you say you work at Harvard, if you're in Harvard Square, nobody gives a shit because everybody works in Harvard. But so it's just ironic. It's ironic that I ended up at this newspaper, and I find, like, if as an entrepreneur, I have run companies, I have handed out paychecks, my company was sold, I merged with another company, we did a stock swap. I know a few things about business. I find that newspapers are run so poorly as to be incredible to me. So you won't quote me, right? It's just between us. But I'm just in this newspaper business going like, how the hell do they even keep this place afloat? For instance, there's a giant battle in all papers with former writers who are union people who are under a union contract that they have to pay a lot of money to, and many freelancers who come in and work on a piecemeal basis. Usually the freelancers are younger and get paid less, but are smarter and have cooler stories. The older people that have been there a long time on the union, they can't get rid of them, and they're very expensive. And nonetheless, they do things like they've done a special section on technology. Do they use the union people they have to pay anyway who are supposed to know about technology? No, they use all freelancers and pay them extra fees while the other people are sitting there because they're going to get fresher material that way. So as a business, it's just bizarre to me. I'm like, if I have employees I'm paying a salary, I'm going to use them first. I'm not going to pay more out of a budget. But anyway, it's the ultimate business now in transition. And I laugh out loud because I started as a blogger. I go into the Globe. What do they use to print the stories to create the website? WordPress. And I'm like, I know Matt, who's Mullenweg, who started WordPress. I'm like, he's just a guy in a t-shirt. What the fuck? It's like incredible to me. And I started as a blogger. This is the software I use. This is how far newspapers have gone, because I was sure it was a very serious thing. Newspapers are very serious, right? They're going to use some fancy software. Yeah, it's called WordPress.
Yeah, I love WordPress. Love WordPress.
Well, they need it to be tested.
Let's go to Jody now. Jody, any questions?
Yeah, Holly. I noticed that you had a couple of Kickstarter campaigns. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah, I have done. I don't know. I have no reverence for a resume that makes you keep a job more than about 35 minutes. Once you're bored, you should get out of everything. So I was at Techstars in 2012, working as the head of publishing for a startup that was all about how to publish ebooks. And after 6 months doing that, I thought, I don't want to help people publish ebooks, their books. I want to write my own book and publish it. So I did a Kickstarter campaign, and it was successful. And I got money to only $15,000, not a ton of money, but just enough I needed to write my own book. And the book is called Founders Less Than Three. And it's a fictional novel. Don't want to have too much revenge here on all the people I'd been through the program with and what Techstars was like, which was completely crazy. And it was very international. And one of my favorite characters was an Australian, because at Techstars, we had this crazy Aussie who was just like the biggest character. And so the book has all sorts of interesting.
Is he named Brad?
Huh?
Is he named Brad?
No, no. You have to read it.
Crazy Aussies.
Huh?
We don't know any crazy Aussies.
Wasn't Anthony?
No.
Anthony or Chris?
I think he's Chris. I can't even remember because I keep going back and forth between the real guy and
maybe
and
Chris
the other
Sard.
guy. But anyway, so I raised my money on Kickstarter, and that was 2012 was kind of the beginning. People were starting to use Kickstarter. I really wanted to see if I could do it. I was really interested. Later, I had then, of all weird things, did another Kickstarter with a group at MIT, helping them do LED lights project, and so. I ended up, again, this is called, you never know at work you're going to get paid for, but you end up, I was like, now I could be a Kickstarter consultant. I could tell people how to do their Kickstarter campaigns and help them. And, so I've had some really wild jobs. I'm like in charge of, if anybody says, can you do this? I'm like, yeah. My dad was like a Madison Avenue, literally Mad Men, Don Draper kind of ad guy. And he was so completely full of baloney and would tell you, try anything, do anything. When I was in college, they called me and said, we need someone who could do a temp job demonstrating how to smoke opium. I said, excuse me? And they were serious. It was a museum of tobacco, and they needed a girl guide to show you how to smoke. They're like, would you do that? I'm like, sure. And I was like a non-smoker, never used drugs, never used opium. Sure, I'll do that. So never say no to any job. It's my
Say yes and work it out later. That's the entrepreneur's way, isn't it?
How hard could it be?
All right, good stuff, Haley. Haley, good to have you on. Where can they get hold of you if they want to ask you more questions about what you do?
Where can we what?
Where can they get hold of you if they want to ask you more questions?
Twitter. I believe you have a great Twitter account.
Chatcenter.com, of course. I mean, come on.
Chat Center, yeah. And also, tell us about the show you're on, just real quick before the show.
Yeah, by the way, so easily Twitter is Hallie. It's HALLEY. It's at Hallie. The show I'm on for podcasting is Keith Tier, who was recently here, is on the Gilmore Gang, as you well know. And this past year, Tina Gilmore, who runs the show as the producer, and Gilmore's wife, said, we have to have a show with 4 women speaking about tech. So I'm on that show. I'm on the Gilmore Girls Gang.
Great show.
And we do it once a week. And I hope you got the chance to see it. That's great.
Yes,
it's very, very fun. And I'm the Bostonian, and the rest of the girls are all Silicon Valley girls.
Sweet.
So,
have you seen it, Andrew? Have you seen the show, mate?
No, I have. I've seen. I've seen. I haven't seen the girls, the 4 ladies version, but yeah, I've seen Gilmore Gang.
Yeah,
of
the
course,
Gilmore Gang. Right.
With Robert
great.
and Steve.
I'm trying to get him on the show actually, but I think he's busy.
Yeah, he's busy.
Always busy. Yeah.
They are. I never know quite when I'm going to get a chance to see them. I go out to the Silicon Valley all the time and see the people in person, because it's the only way to get a minute of their time. Most of the time, they're running around like maniacs. So, but
all right, good stuff, Andrew. Is that it?
Absolutely, yeah. And thanks so much for being on the show. It sounds like we could talk for hours about all of the things you've done and haven't done, and we'd probably need to switch the show to a later time slot.
Any plans coming to Australia at all?
Oh, God, I'd love to. I was in a restaurant with Robert Scoble and his wife, and around the time they were doing those boat races, and this crazy table of New Zealanders was right next to us, and they came over and said, you got it, you know the way they talk, right?
Yeah.
So we couldn't understand, but basically it was like, you got to get over that direction. We have to see Australia. We have to see New Zealand. So maybe one of these days. I did tell my husband it's the only one on my list of places I'd bother traveling 800 hours in a plane to get to. It would be worth it.
Yeah,
I'd love.
Absolutely. I got over to Austin earlier this year, and yeah, it's a long trip for South by.
Isn't it long?
Oh yeah, it's a long trip, but it's worth it. Australia's just like America, really. We just talk funny, have beaches everywhere, and have better coffee
and drink beer.
I was gonna say it looks like way more fun.
Yeah, Vegemite and Tim Tams.
Yeah, and Jody, did you get your Tim Tams yet?
What?
Did you send more Tim Tams?
Yeah, I think we did.
Ooh.
Are those pets? Are they little dogs?
Tim Tams are a delectable chocolate biscuit.
Oh, nice.
What's your dog's name, by the way?
Mine?
Yeah, that dog. Yeah,
that's Bijou.
Okay.
The other one is Jacob. He's very serious.
Oh, wow.
You serious?
What, that they have names?
Name's Jacob.
I like that. Who is that?
For a dog?
That's the old red dog.
Oh, okay, for Jacob. Oh, yeah, he's showing his dog. Is he? Okay.
Very cute. Very cute.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay,
Thank
so we
you
better
guys for
move on.
inviting me on.
No problem. I hope you enjoyed just being on here.
It was very fun. My husband wants to watch Boardwalk Empire now, so I got to
All right.
go.
Good show. Good show.
Thank you, Hallie.
Okay,
Really
see you
appreciate
later.
being on.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on. Come back on any time.
We have a mad Mexican waiting skills on the sticks to talk about video games and things. How are we doing there, Rob?
Well, it's very fitting to save the best for last. So thank you
It
guys
is.
for
Because we're all
recognizing that.
fans of the Xbox. We all have an Xbox One here, and we're all fans of Xbox. And
okay.
It's a good way to finish on video games. We'll probably all jump off and start playing, some GTA or something. So, how did you get into? How did you make I guess a Twitch TV account that's got traction and people are watching it? Is it pretty cool when you just start playing a game and just bang, 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 you've got viewers watching and so forth?
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, I've been playing video games my whole life. I'm 24 years old now. I didn't ever really think about making Twitch. Like I said, I started doing YouTube last December, so it's been a little over a year. And then probably at around March or so, someone would one of the kids told me, hey, you know what? I would like to see you on Twitch. Of course, I knew what Twitch was just because of the fact that once the next gen consoles came out, I was just messing around with them, going into their features or what they had, and I saw that you were able to live stream, which at the time I didn't even, before next gen consoles, I was totally unaware of live streaming or the fact that you could play video games in front of people and that they would actually watch you. So I was like, oh, that'd be, it'd be a cool idea. But I'd be able to make YouTube videos even live, and I wouldn't have to really go through much effort. As well as, it's how you gain fans. One of the common misconceptions, though, is that people think that streaming is going to kick off for you as soon as you start playing. And I'm not sure how true that is for other people. But I, for example, started streaming. I would say I started a little bit in May, and it wasn't really too much. It wasn't too often. It was maybe 2 or 3 times a week for a couple hours or so. And I didn't even hit 1,000 followers until about November. So, it took me a really long time, and people see all of the good things about streaming. They see, the fan appreciation, that everyone's having a good time, you're popular, things like that. But they don't understand that in order to get to that point, it's like everything else. You need to have the dedication, and definitely. You need to put in the work. You can't just expect to just show up to a stream and then people are going to watch you, because the way that Twitch works is they want the best content or the most popular people at the top. So if you go to Twitch and you put in the game Grand Theft Auto, well, if you don't know who I am, you're never going to see me play that game, because I'm going to be about 25 to 30 pages on behind the top page. What are the odds that you go back that far? And even if you do see me and you see I have 5 viewers, you probably wouldn't take the time to click on it, because you would think, you would just assume, well, that's probably not a fun stream if there's only 5 people there. You know what I mean? That was the boat that I was in up until about December, averaging about 10 viewers or so. And then I don't know, one day I caught fire basically. I got lucky. I guess maybe not too many people were streaming that day. I'm not exactly sure how it went to come about, but I went from only having 10 viewers to having over 500. So I was definitely jumping up and down. But when that happens, you get put, at the top of the Twitch search results for a certain title, and people click on you more and more. And then once I got to be on the top page where people could actually see me, then I was getting followers. Basically, I couldn't even talk because I was just welcoming people to my stream, basically about every minute I was getting at least about like 20 followers. It was just time and time and time. So it's good to be there, but it definitely takes a lot of work. And the people, they just need to realize that anybody that's out there that might be listening, that might be thinking about doing Twitch, it's a lot of hard work that you got to put into it. And it's like anything, you got to spend money to make money if you want to stand out. It's nice to start off from console, if it's not something that you want to do, but eventually you need to be able to stand above the crowd with overlays and follower alerts and music on your stream, things like that.
What sort of equipment do you use?
Right now I have a i7 processor, 4790K.
Okay.
So that's I just bought that in December. I decided to step it all the way up because I was looking at other streamers' equipment, and some people use the 4770, and I just wanted to make sure I can go as high up as possible with whatever budget I had, which was under $2,000. I don't really expect it for gaming. I mean, it is capable of it. I wouldn't be like a top-notch PC gamer with the current thing that I have. I would be able to be on like the fair playing field. But it's mainly for just to broadcast it in good quality to people.
Yeah, definitely. And you also have what consoles do you have? An Xbox One and a PS4? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I own a PS3. It's not in the same room as my other ones. I have a PS4 and Xbox One. Mm-hmm. And I'm a PlayStation fan. I've had PlayStation since PlayStation 1. My dad was a gamer, so he bought us all that. I also had Xbox One. My brother owned a 360, so I didn't see any reason why I would have, if I ever needed it. It's basically the same thing, PS3 and 360. So we always had PS3. He had the 360. If I needed to play it, it was there for me.
So you're one of these people who's all like, PlayStation's awesome, Microsoft Xbox sucks.
I'm a realist. I don't jump on either side. To me, I have them. That's why I have them both, because I can tell you guys, as far as the gaming, the graphics, and all of that stuff, people can say what they will, and what it really comes down to is what did you grow up with. If somebody is a PlayStation fan, they're going to tell you, even if there's some things like I'm more of a PlayStation fan, but I can tell you the feature to Xbox record that. I mean, I've used that countless times, and I've even said it while playing my PS4. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm on PS4. Never mind.
Yeah.
Xbox. Oh wait, never mind. PS4. Which they all have things. Of course, the Xbox is cool. You can plug it into your HD box, and you can tell it to put up the volume, change your channel.
Yep.
It extends your entertainment value to to your TV, not just to gaming.
Yeah,
and then there's those that I guess there's the actual hardware is that the PS4 is like a tiny fraction better on the graphics. But I mean, with all the stuff that the Xbox offers you, it's just amazing. You can't go wrong with either. It's basically it looks the same. You know what I mean?
It's got more to do with what you grew up with, really, or what your preference, what the previous console was. I mean, I've got friends. I've got an Xbox One. I had a 360. I've got friends with PS3 and PS4 who are kind of like, PS4 is awesome. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it totally depends on what you've grown up with, what you're used to, and it's much the same games anyway.
It's all. I mean, except for your exclusives here or there. It's all about what you came up with, and you won't change anybody's mind. As I've lost quite a few followers just for posting on Instagram. I think I had one outrage, probably about maybe 30 people might have unfollowed me. I mean, I had like 10,000,
nice.
so
like
it was it was lightly felt. But I think I put PS4 it wasn't a meme that I made. It was just like a meme that was out there, and I just decided to post it, and it wasn't meant to hurt anybody's feelings, but this just goes to show you of how strongly connected people are to their consoles and which financial decisions that they've made. I posted a Kermit. You guys are all familiar with the Kermit drinking his tea, and it was PS4 has better graphics than Xbox One, but that's none of my business though. So
it's got more to do with, as you said, people they don't look at the graphics of the game. They look at the actual console and they realize, one's got 4 megabytes more drive, and therefore they're going, right, well, this has better graphics. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually using all of those graphics for every single
Yeah,
game.
it depends to the game. Yeah,
And I think it
how
also-
developers make it.
And I think it also comes down to what you use as well, like the TV and stuff, that sort of thing. Andrew, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I had some friends over last Friday night, and we played FIFA, and they were all PS4, and all of them said, this Xbox One thing's pretty cool. Like, it's the same game. There's no difference.
Exactly.
They were saying, look, the controller is a little bit different, and it took a little bit of time to get used to that.
Mhm.
But otherwise, it was the same thing. And then we put on Forza 5, and all of them were like, this is an awesome game. You know,
Right.
they were always of this thing like Gran Turismo is the best car game of all time. And I said, Forza's a great game too. And there's not one's good, one's bad. It's just, this is, you know, Forza on Xbox. It's a great game. Tell me what you think. And they loved it. And we actually
Right.
switched over it when we ordered some food, and we switched off FIFA when the food got here, and we put the local soccer on. And the quality of the game was considerably better than the local soccer coming through the television.
Wow.
So we were all just
Right.
like, wow, this is bizarre.
That's
You should
something.
have just picked the controller, computer-controlled teams and watched the game. Huh? Yeah, I mean, it does vary from game. There's countless IGN posts, and you know, people will take snapshots of PS4 version, what it looks like, Xbox version, what it looks like, and some games will show up better for, even though they're made from the same developer, just the shades that they produce, that'll just show up better on one console than the other, and it's not like every time PS4 is better, or you know, it just sometimes it looks better on certain consoles. And the only reason why I bought an Xbox was because it was going to be about maybe a couple months that I had my YouTube, and I wanted to be able to play with my followers. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get this, and that way I could stay interactive. There's a lot of people that they get followers, but then they don't take the time to let's play with these kids, because you'd be surprised how many kids you make their whole month or their week just because you let them into your party and tell them what's up. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, it's Skills on the Sticks. What's up, man? Like, and then that little moment is all it takes. And that kid will watch every single one of your videos for as long as you decide to produce YouTube content.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Now, with the name, Rob, how did you come up with that name, Schools on the Sticks? Where did that name?
It came from one particular source. I had different visions for what I was gonna do with it. I was young, maybe like 14 years old or so.
Okay.
I was playing a NBA basketball game, and my cousin had a friend that's currently in the NFL right now, which is pretty awesome. And I played him, so I could at least tell you guys that I beat an NFL player in some video games.
Good stuff.
But he plays for the Bengals right now. And he at the time he was in high school. I believe I was like in the 8th grade or so. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna beat you. You know, you don't know who you're messing with." So me, I was always the one to let my gameplay do the talking, because I already knew how much I played the game, or I knew what my chances were making a certain shot, or just I knew the game like the back of my hand. So I ended up just blowing him out pretty bad, maybe like 30 points or so. Wow. And he's like, "Man, you're pretty good, man. You got some skills on the sticks." And so I was like, it sounded like a pretty cool name. So I never thought much of it. It didn't stick to me at the time. And then maybe about 2 years ago, so not this past E3 that came, but the one before that, I work in Los Angeles, so the E3 was right there by my job, and I'm just looking and I'm seeing all these people like, man, what a job that must be to be able to just go into E3, and like your job is to tell your company or to tell the world about what's coming out and what games, or just be able to play all that stuff. So I found out that the only way to get into some of those are by press passes. So I thought maybe I can get like really big on some type of social media outlet to the point where I'd be granted something like that. So I decided to make it was supposed to be like a gambling site for video games, see if you have skills on the sticks, whatever. It was supposed to be skillsonthesticks.com for just basically playing yourself for money. I figured if I can get enough people into this, maybe I could get like a press pass or something. So I quickly found out, of course, there was a thought that just kind of ran through my head. You need, of course, gambling licenses, things like that you need to, probably some type of certificates, which are going to cost you money. So that idea in itself didn't go too far. I had some ideas to maybe just give out instead of making it like, hey, you pay $5 to play this guy. I had it like, maybe I'll hold like a big tournament and just, give out like $15 headphones to the winner. These kids are gonna be playing the game anyway. People are gonna learn about the site, and I'm gonna just give out free prizes. You don't need anything for that. But I came across some issues with just the website that I decided to choose to run it. And I mean, I know nothing about codes or how to set up tournament brackets, or it's a whole different thing when you try to ask a website to hold usernames and things like that. So I just got it all, and I just basically threw it to the side. And then that was about August of 2013, I want to say. So I got onto Call of Duty Ghosts that next year, a couple months later, and I was playing, and I decided this poor guy, fuck this game, or excuse my language, but man, forget this game. I don't want to play it, and I liked Ghosts, and a lot of people didn't give it a chance, and I just wanted to help that guy like play the game better. He's running around with no dead silence. He's playing in free for all with like an unsilenced gun. He just was playing everything that everyone else that plays Call of Duty knows not to do. He was doing, running in the middle of the map, just shooting at people he couldn't really kill. So he was having a bad time. I told him to, turn off the vibrate function and kind of stay on the outsides of the map, and gave him a lot of tips. And the next game he did really well. And he's like, oh, you know what? That helped a lot, man. You should go on YouTube and you should teach people how to play. And so I thought, man, there has to be people that, of course, go on YouTube and teach people how to play Call of Duty and things like that. But I looked it up a little bit, and I didn't really see. I felt like I could do a better job than some of the people that I saw. Basically, I felt like not everyone was offering the same exact tips that I had to give. So I gave it a shot. I grew really fast on Instagram. A lot of it was like spamming, not really like comments, but just following a lot of people and having like an app, like not regular people, but just like gaming people.
Yep.
And if they don't follow me back within a week, whatever, I just unfollow them.
Good stuff, Rob. So what do you want to get out of all this, mate? What are you up to now?
Well, I mean, it would be nice to get, my main goal right now would be the Twitch partnership. Right now I average on Twitch about 130 viewers a night or so, in between 100, 130.
Cool.
In order to get that partnership, though, you need about 5. So I'm on my way. Hopefully by the end of this year, that's like
I've seen you play.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I've seen you on there a few times, and you put on a good show on that. It's all
right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So hopefully, just to get. I mean, my main thing, I'm going to be playing games until I'm old and wrinkly anyway. So if I were to be able to get paid and then, have more time for myself and my family, away from that would be a blessed life to live. That's my goal. But, that's not my fact. That's not the reason why I play games, but it would be nice.
Jody, what about you? Do you play any games, or are you into this sort of thing, or have you seen it?
Not really. I mean, God, when my kids were little, yeah, but not recently.
Some Galaga.
No, we're talking pre. Like we're talking, like early game systems. But I'm curious, do you do any handheld games, or are they kind of like the 3D Nintendo stuff?
Right. No, I mean, the last time I held anything was for Pokemon. That was the last time I held a Game Boy Color. And those were good times right there, gaming at its finest for sure. But I don't, the 3DS and the Wii and stuff like that. I think some people do stream 3DS things. I mean, not 3DS, Wii U, like Mario Kart and things like that. But the handhelds, no, I don't really use those ones as much.
I'm kind of intrigued by it because it's like you're in the game because the technology moves all around and it kind of positions itself dimensionally. So I find that to be somewhat intriguing.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Any virtual game stuff?
Well, maybe you guys, I don't know if you guys cover stuff like this, but there is something called the Oculus Rift. If you guys, maybe you've seen it, it's basically a 3D thing that you can be looking at a dining table like right in front of you, and they will place little guys with swords. This is just one of the mini games. They'll place like little guys with swords to fight like on the furniture in front of you, and you wear one. Maybe your friend next to you wears one, and you can just have him jumping on on your elements, and you're fighting, but you have this thing on. So that's pretty crazy. They have some where I think it's like a Star Wars. It's not exactly the game, but it's like you're in a spacecraft and you can make hand signals to shoot different missiles and things like that. So that's definitely the way that video games are going, without a doubt. I mean, we will be there within the next 10 years. That's for sure. I wish I was like 10 years old right now, because I can already imagine the things that are going to be coming out. There's actually a vest. I'm not really sure when that's coming out, but there is a vest that you can put on that will tell you, or you'll feel the vibrations from where you're getting shot at. So, for example, you're playing Call of Duty, you have this vest on, people shoot at you, you'll be able to feel the vibration of, front, back, your chest, your back, where are you being shot from. And it's another pretty cool thing that's interactive that they're going to be adding to video games.
Cool. Sounds good. Steve, any questions?
Yeah, it's hold on. How do you stream out? I mean, do you have a capture card going to your gaming console, or do you stream?
Yeah, it's all capture card based. You need a capture card in order to. I mean, you can stream from console, but you risk not such a great quality stream. You're not going to have the overlay, which makes you seem more professional or like what you're doing. So you use a capture card. I personally, everybody out there that uses a capture card or that's considered the best one is the Elgato.
Yeah.
I believe you can get the regular one for like as cheap as like $140 to $160 if you can find it somewhere. The newer generation one, which the older one still produces 1080p. I'm not sure if this newer one is gonna start supporting 4K or not.
Actually,
probably,
the Blackmagic Design Intensity Pro just came out with a new capture card that does 4K.
Oh wow, did they? Yeah. See, I haven't even heard of that one. I just know that that all the YouTubers for basically anything all use the Elgato capture cards. If anybody is out there looking to get into a capture card, I would definitely tell you to save your money and make sure you at least get one of the Elgatos, either the newer one or the regular standard one. It does not matter. They're still going to be at least 1080. But a lot of people they'll get like the $60 one, and you're not doing yourself any favors, because even if you get really awesome gameplay, but if you're talking about uploading it in really really bad quality, it doesn't do you any favors. So basically the system, whatever you have, PS4, Xbox One, the HD cord will go into your capture card, and then your capture card has a USB that goes into your computer. So you just download open broadcast software, so OBS for a lot of you guys, and that pretty much does it for you. You pick whatever server is closest to you, to your residence, and it'll give you a key, and there it is. The world is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Music.
How often do you stream, Rob? How many days a week do you do?
I whenever I get a chance. I mean, if sometimes my work will keep me to the point where I can't go. So my usual schedule is I'll come home from work, take a shower, go to the gym, come home, eat, take a shower, and then stream until bedtime. So I have to make sure I get those things done first before I stream. But at least I want to do. I usually do at least 4 days a week. I've had instances where I'll do 7. I've had an actual 24-hour stream.
Seen that one.
Where I gained about.
Seen that one.
I want to say I gained about 1,400 followers in one day. My eyes got all like itchy, like burning because they'd been open for so long. But yeah, that's
what about some of the donations you get? Have you got any mad donations?
I haven't got anything too out anything at all. Always, like I said, I play it for the fun. So anything that people decide, everybody works hard for their money, whether it's even if the kid gives it to me, I know that their parent had to give it to them and they had to work hard for it. So I definitely appreciate everything that comes my direction. I think the biggest one that I had was a $50 one. So that was pretty cool because, $50, that's a good amount. And that was all at one time. I think the most that anyone has donated to the stream, like all together, is about $80. Okay. So, that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah,
but
very good.
You'll see the people out there that get like the 4,000s and things like that, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to see that games have come this far.
Yeah, definitely.
To the point where you can live off of them.
And what about you, mate? What's your view on all this? Are you going to be getting into Twitch anytime soon, or?
Look, I'd love to. I just don't have the time. I've got we're working heavily on the Rewind app, doing China and Japanese translations and things. So I'm pretty tied up, and with Miles, with a 10-month-old son, I'd love to get more involved, but life's pretty busy at the moment. But I'm enjoying just chucking on the Xbox now and again and playing a few games on there. But it'd be fun to jump on and connect up with Twitch at some point. But I wouldn't even know where to start doing that anyway. So I might have to come and ask for some advice at some point.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea just to try to just build an audience on your console. You know what I mean? They don't, as long as you're semi-entertaining people, they don't really care. You get some friends or whatever, and it's all about advertising yourself. Fortunately for me, before I decided to do Twitch, I already had I think I had it already 8,000 on Instagram. So that was a big outlet for me because before I even streamed regularly, I already had 600 followers. So not a lot of people can do stuff like that. But in order to get big or to just do it, you do need a considerable amount of time, and it's caused some problems for me.
What about you, Jacob? What's your view on all this, mate? I know you just got an Xbox One recently. Have you checked out Twitch, or what's your view on it?
I haven't I've checked out Twitch, and you were the one viewer that was on there.
Oh, was I? For what was that? For Grand Theft Auto or something?
Project Spark. And Fred, I'm also holding something.
What is it?
A drone.
Oh, the drone. Okay, so get that in the video.
It's too late now because I already took off the screencasting.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Very cool.
All right. Very good, Rob.
Have a play with that during the week, Jacob, and we'll talk about that drone next week's
definitely.
show.
Now, Rob, where can they get hold of you if they want to ask you any more questions, mate? Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you guys for having me on. My YouTube, everything is basically the same handle. It's my Instagram is Skills on the Sticks, and that's STIXX. YouTube is the same. Twitch is the same. And the Twitter is Skills on the Sticks with 1X only, because Twitter wouldn't let me add another one.
That's good, mate. Sounds good. Jody, what's your phone and view on the show? Where can they get hold of you?
Oops, I was on mute. Great show. Really interesting guests. I guess I got to get more into gaming because I'm woefully behind, guys. It's like a different language.
Yeah,
right.
But, with regard to where you can reach me on Twitter. My handle is Sunswept, or you can find me at webmarcom.net or here at Techwebcast. Hopefully every week.
Definitely indeed. Yep, definitely. You can get me on Twitter at Brad on Techwebcast. Andrew, what about you, mate?
Yeah, you can get me as Cunning Drew on Twitter and Facebook, and at Andrew on the Zafo app, and download the Rewind app, RWND. I'm at Andrew on there.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Good to have you on each week. Jacob, what about you, mate?
Well, I love being on the podcast, and you can follow me at JazzBot326691Z.
Good stuff. Steve, what about you, mate?
You can find me as on Chatterbox Live, on Twitter as Chatterbox_live.
Good stuff. All right, Andrew, that's the wrap, mate. Do you want to mention anything before we go?
Be good to your mother and enjoy the rabbits.
All right, thanks, Brad. See you next week.
Webcast. Hosts and guests are unsurpassed. Techwebcast. 'Cause technology, it moves so fast. Techwebcast. Stick around fun and you're gonna have a blast. Yeah! Tech webcast. Ha, ha. Tech webcast. Big ups to Andrew, to Brad, Jody, Steve, and Jennifer.